You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the reported deal that the Bulls would want back for Alex Caruso. They want an OG Anunoby type deal. We're going to break that down. Hey, listen. They said if you're not going to give him 2 first-round picks, you can give him 2 young players averaging almost 20 points per game. They're also going to talk about the 4 teams interested in trading for Andre Drummond. And can the Bulls finally get a win at home? We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your best bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Pat, the Bulls, we started this off with the Bulls wanted 2 first-round picks back for Alex Caruso. Never found could they be protected, anything like that. But then today, we get more. This one came from Woj that the Bulls want an OG Anunoby type deal back for Alex Caruso. Just to run this back. So in that deal, the Toronto Raptors sent OG Anunoby, Malachi Flynn, and Precious Achiuwa to the Knicks in exchange for RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and a 2024 second-round draft pick. So the Bulls basically said, hey, if you guys want Alex Caruso, you have to let us fleece you. That's basically what they're saying.
See, I don't feel like it's saying let them fleece you. I do think it's still, right, it's more, right? Because first-round picks aren't proven players versus young players that are proven players that maybe have a higher ceiling. But when you talk about RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley going over there, yes, you felt like that was a loss, but it was a loss because you knew who the 2 pieces were in place already, right? You knew it was going to be Julius Randle. You knew it was going to be Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart adding some input on that as well. And then, okay, now we're going to get OG Anunoby, and he's going to be a piece that can help us. But I do think that there's something to be said about getting back some young pieces when your team is already set. Say we trade Alex Caruso to the Lakers. You already got Bron. You already got Reeves. You already got Anthony Davis. He ain't been on the court, so I ain't thought about it. No, he actually has this year. But you already got those guys in place, right? Can you give me some of the young guys that you feel are going to take this step after LeBron's gone, right? Like, so I think that you could almost work that out with certain teams if they feel like they're in a championship window type of situation. I just don't like. I think the 2 teams that were in that window where they felt like they need to go for it made the OG Anunoby trade. Like Boston, I don't want nobody on Boston. Like that's the other team that you would think.
Well, the thing is too is that I mean, okay, see, you don't feel like it is. I'm sorry for listen. OG Anunoby is a piece, right? We know what he is. I think he's averaging over 20 points per game for that team, and that's not to say like Alex Caruso defensively and what he brings. I get it. But to say that if you're trying to get 2 young pieces, because I get what you're saying, it's not unproven, though. These are both guys, even though RJ Barrett is only 23 years old, this dude has been in the league for 5 years. So you're getting a proven commodity.
I'm saying the picks are unproven. Like if you got 2 first-round picks for them, those are unproven players.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing that also comes with having the more proven players is the payroll. And so that's one thing that is kind of shocking with the Chicago Bulls. So it's like, if you're looking for that type of deal back, you got to be willing to pay.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that means is this another, we've already know that Jerry's gotten involved in the Zach. Is Jerry involved in this? Because
I just have to believe, and take this however you want to, I just have to believe that a spunky white guy that's putting a team on his back has got to be one of Jerry's favorites.
You saw Kirk. You remember? We built the team and literally in the offseason.
Kirk came back 4 times.
No, but I'm saying in the offseason where we built probably the best team that we had, the one thing that Jerry Reinsdorf would ask about, he's like, man, I just wish we would have found a way to keep Kirk.
Dog, I feel like he's gotta want to keep Caruso around, bro. 30 years old? Nah, he's got 5 years left in him. Keep him going.
He's not as old as me. That's what Jerry Reinsdorf would say. He's not as old as me. We're good. We're good.
But no, I just like, what teams are you looking? I guess maybe because I don't think Houston's gonna get a star back. Is Houston a team that you could look at, right? Is that, I don't know if you want Jalen Green back in that, but like, is that maybe somehow
that's ookie. I'm gonna say like my kids when they were young. That's ookie.
Well, the only reason I say that, right, is because yes, there's some upside with Green. You know, he can be a scorer, but are you going to be able to rein him in here?
But he's one of the most inefficient scorers in the league.
I know. You
don't like, yeah, he could put up 18 points per game, but those 25 shots it takes to get there is wild. Like,
but I'm just wondering, like, where are you looking to go get this type of deal? Like I said, I think the two teams that made this type of deal are the two teams that you would have looked at to make this type of deal with. Toronto, OKC, like Miami. Is Miami giving us something? They're not giving up Haize Pat.
Here's what I'll say, though. If they are willing to give up Haize Pat for a proven commodity in Alex Caruso, I may have to listen to that deal, bro. I may have to listen to Haize Pat and Nikola Jovic.
Jovic ain't done nothing in this league.
I know, he's not done nothing.
Down there. Leave him right where he at. He fine in Miami. Let him keep partying. I just wonder, like, who would be, like, I guess an OKC. Maybe OKC feels like they're on the cusp of that. Maybe they want something off of their bench, and you can get some young assets and draft capital. I'm just speculating on what teams could fit the mold of actually sending you an OG Anunoby type trade.
Well, that's the thing too, is how do we fit that? Because while I get it that the Knicks and Raptors are able to make this trade, OG Anunoby makes almost double the $9 million Alex Caruso makes. You're talking about getting two young pieces back that have already showed you something. Yeah. Just including Javon Carter's deal isn't going to make those contracts work theoretically. So we're looking at a situation where maybe this is one of those deals that include Alonzo Ball's contract or something like that.
Yeah, Alonzo back walking. Put that video out before the trade deadline.
Not just walking. He was practicing today. He got shots.
He was shooting basketballs on the side.
Practicing.
Yeah, let's not put that out there, dog. We got to be a little
that's how they reported it. Alonzo Ball's up getting shots at practice. I said, come on now, bro. You knew exactly how y'all were wording that. Come on.
They immediately put that video out, and it was Alonzo standing still doing this, bro. I was like, oh, he putting up the free throws when you got to line up that free throw. I don't know. Like, this is a situation where I don't think that it's impossible to do. I just wonder, like you said, is the Lonzo Ball contract something that gets included in that? And here's the thing. I think teams will be willing to acquiesce to that because of how little AC makes versus how much production he's actually providing on the court. I think that might be how you get a Lonzo Ball deal done. I'm just trying to Utah's kind of like, they kind of playing better basketball though. Like I just, again, I would be interested to see
who do you want from Utah that fits that mold of young players. Like, they got old players they can send over. Hey, who's the young players you want off?
Bring back that fro, boy. Bring back that
that's never happened.
Bring back the fro, baby.
And instantly when he crosses Illinois state line, he's going right back.
I can't trade him.
You know what's crazy? If we trade Alex Caruso to the Utah Jazz and get Chris Dunn and Larry Markkinen back.
That's what I'm saying. He said, I can't develop you here, baby, but I'm going to get you back when you're developed.
We can develop you, but now that it's happened, go ahead and come on back home, my boy.
I don't want to take a chance on anybody either. That's the part that's tough, right? Because I think about a player like, if you trade him to the Magic might feel like they're a player like Caruso, a strong vet because I mean, like, I don't know, like the age on that team is basically like 11 to like 36. Like, they got a little bit of everything on there. Point guards and centers, that's all they got. But if you trade them down to a team like that, do you feel like, okay, taking a chance on a guy like any of the young guards that haven't panned out there? Yeah, I mean, like, or Jonathan Isaac, who has played more games than I think I've seen him play in his entire career this season. But you know the injury history that comes with Jonathan Isaac. Like there's
Did you really do that with like, even if you do have to move, like, you're moving Lonzo Ball for Tarlo Lonzo Ball as far as the knees?
I'm just trying to figure out what team would work.
It's not going. It's almost he's played 32 games this season, which he played 34
is more
games.
than what we've seen him play in almost his entire career.
He's played 34 and 75 games, but I mean, listen.
I don't know, bro. Like this is
I have no idea, bro.
This is one where the whole like I guess if there's some scenarios that you come up with, you can send them to teams, but I don't like any of them, and I feel like the teams that would be willing to maybe send you something and maybe acquiesce a little bit more, they're going to have to do so much to make the money work.
Basically,
like unless you're offering 4 players.
I mean, we just spent 10 minutes talking about it. Really, what it just boils down to this is that the Bulls have set the asking price so hard for Alex Caruso, they know they're not trading.
That's kind of how I feel about it, right? Like the price doesn't go lower here. Like it's like, okay, y'all want AC? Bet. Now we want the owner's box. Like, wait a minute. I'm like, hold on.
Your firstborn.
Now I want your firstborn. Like the Bulls keep going this direction when usually you go this direction.
Yeah, no.
Meanwhile, for Zach LaVine, they were down to Bogdan and the toe that they were trying to dip.
All right, next up, we're going to be talking about 4 teams that are reportedly interested in trading for Andre Drummond at the trade deadline. But before we get into that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is FanDuel. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets. And speaking of super bets, so FanDuel does have the Bulls versus the Minnesota Timberwolves on this docket. Hey, how many points do you think the Bulls are giving up to the Timberwolves? Keep in mind, #1 defense in the league by far. Well, only 4.5. I was surprised with that. It was only 4.5. So if you guys want to do that, if the Bulls can clear that 4.5, you guys can possibly get some money there. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win the Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets on which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Pat. So Drummond apparently is a hot commodity here on the trade block. Well, the trading deadline, because the Bulls don't necessarily have him on the block. So we got 4 teams that were rumored to be interested, but then we also got Casey Johnson added into this that he would not be surprised if Andre Drummond is moved by the trade deadline, which is surprising. You know, you take that for what you will. But rumored, the Lakers, Celtics, Suns, and Mavericks all interested in Andre Drummond at the trade deadline. How do you feel about that, Pat?
I think that this is more of a deal that makes sense to me because of what Drum guarantees you with the second he walks on the court, right? Especially as a backup center. And I know it sounds crazy to say, but I do this deal. Andre Drummond, 29 years old. You know, for the most part, what he's going to give you. I don't think that you could put him back into a starting role if you can spot start him, right? But like to play him a ton is like, all right, we dealing with like 4 fouls every other day in the first quarter. And I think that you have a player on your team that you picked up in during draft time this year that is young Drum right now. Not to say he's going to be 20-20 guy, but what we want off of the bench for a backup center, I think you can get an Adama Sanago, and you just can't bring him up right now, literally because I think he does a lot of the same things Drum does, and there's no way you can have 2 players like that on your roster at the same time. I think this opens up a spot for the Bulls to go a little bit younger here, for the Bulls to start to see what this young man has in the second half of the season. And I think that it would be a good move for them because Sanago's a guy that gives you the rebounding ability, the defensive ability, and a little bit of scoring ability off of the putback. I never want to see that jump shot, though. Please, God, never break that out. It's not even a bad jump shot. It's just one of the slowest ones I've ever seen in my life.
It is very slow. It is very slow. I mean, all these teams make sense for Drum. Mavericks, we know they got Derek Lively down there, a young defensive big that they drafted that's been playing really well, but he's injured. And even heading to the playoffs, they may want somebody who's more of a veteran piece down there. The Celtics always can use a little bit more defense, so that makes sense there. The Lakers are always looking to trade for somebody, so that doesn't surprise anybody. Yeah. The Phoenix Suns in this one, though, how do you feel about the Suns? The reason why I say that is because considering the Suns' current, salary cap situation, how that projects to be going forward into that, especially with this new punitive tax, is there anybody on the Suns roster that, keep in mind with Drummond's contract only being $3.5 million, that would entice you, that you would think, or is it more so draft assets?
You got to be going draft assets for Drum, right? Like you got to be going like they know they're getting a late first round pick, and maybe you can convince them to do that with some protections on it. Like I don't know, like I would think that you're probably going draft assets over, because I'm trying to even think like, what are we finally going to take that shot at Bol that everybody's been waiting for? Like who's the player that you would want to get back in that deal? Eric Gordon, Okogie, maybe? Like those are the low. Most of the guys. Now here's the thing: most of the roster is available to the Bulls outside of the main starters because of how much.
They're all $2.1 million. Yeah. Like so. Eric Gordon 3.1, Okogie 2.8, Damian Lee 2.5, Diop 2.3, Drew Eubanks 2.3. Every Yuta Watanabe.
I don't like that he would go for it 10 out of 10 times. Like that's one of the craziest statements after getting eviscerated on a dunk I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. That wasn't tough. That was not, bro. Hey, it's people out here making business decisions. I wouldn't be mad at Yuta. Yuta had a little stretch early in the season that I thought was maybe there's a little bit more game that you can get out of him. But I mean, I guess it's comparable in the fact that they're both, I believe Yuta's 29 years old as well.
Yeah.
So you'd basically be getting back.
But it's the opposite. Like Drum feels like he's been around forever. Yuta doesn't feel like he's been around that long. It's like, how you guys the same age almost?
I think how long has he been in the league? What, 4 years? 5 years? Like it hasn't been that long. So that doesn't surprise me. But I wouldn't be mad at Yuta, because I think you're moving Drum to make a move to bring somebody up that you're trying to develop. And you need shooting. No matter all of these trades, no matter what, you need to get back shooting. Whoever you get, whoever you bring, whoever you trade away, Lonzo's contract, mid-level, I don't get shooting. You need shooters. This Chicago and we ain't got no shooters. This is crazy. Just saying, dog. Like,
don't play into the stereotype, my brother. The Chicago shooters.
About to change Washington's name.
But no, man, all jokes aside, like at the end of the day, man, if Drum is moved, I love Drum. I would love for Drum to sign to stay here. But to your point, like we do have Adama Sanogo in the wings, and this may not even be one of those trades where you look at what you can get back now. Like you said, it could be opening up that spot.
Yeah.
So on the last half of the season, maybe you do want to take a little bit of an extended look at Adama against NBA teams. It's Billy Donovan, so I don't necessarily bet on that because it's Billy Donovan. He doesn't really, you never know with Billy.
Let me ask you this. If you can get a young player back from the Lakers who seem to be in no man's land and basically they refuse to play the guy, Jalen Hood-Schifino's rookie deal?
It seems like they just want to move Jalen Hood-Schifino too. Everything, it's like, hey, do you want a Jalen Hood-Schifino with that?
Because they're in win now mode. Yeah. But I wouldn't be mad at taking a flyer on a young guy who was just drafted this year if you can get Andre Drummond for him.
If you can move him for Drummond. You can get Jalen Hood-Schifino for Andre Drummond, even though he's it's another guard. I don't think I can knock that, bro. Because at that point, he was the 17th overall pick, though. If they are willing to give that, I think you got to take it, because then that's like you getting the first round pick for Andre Drummond.
My guy, listen, they could care less about Jalen Hood-Schifino being a part of that team, bro. You want to know how many minutes he's played in the last 10 games?
10 games with the tone that you've taken, I'm going to say it's less than 20.
He's played 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
In 10 games.
That's crazy.
They're not worried about him. He plays 6 in one game. They're not worried about Jalen Shabino. And I think it's because of where the team is, right? They're not putting him on the floor when they're in a win now mode. So maybe the Bulls can get him on the floor a little bit more. He's able to develop a little bit more, and you build something here with him. 6'5", you could put him next to Kobe and make a really nice backcourt.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is too is that with Zach now being gone permanently, Io may be in that starting rotation for a while.
Yep.
Maybe you do look at Jalen Shafino. That's still betting on Billy Donovan to play a rookie. He's young too. He's only 20 years old. He won't turn
20, bro.
Turn 21 until almost the start of the next season. That's crazy.
I'm just thinking about maybe some future pieces, because I think the one thing that we all agree with is, yes, you have Kobe White in here, but you do need some future pieces to go along with Kobe White. I hope Io is. Io's played well.
We need more than some, but yeah. No,
I hope Io is. Io's played well. Well, you also got to play him too, right? Like Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips. And maybe play some of these young guys. We'll see. Hey, before we get into this final topic, where we got to talk about, can the Bulls get a win at home? We do have to tell you guys all about BetterHelp. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. And here's the thing. You guys already know what me and Haize talk about when we talk about mental health, how serious we take it outside of, we come here, we joke and all that, but this is a serious topic. And honestly, there's a lot of tough times just getting in with dealing with therapy. And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people struggle with, just the start. BetterHelp makes that so much easier on everybody. I mean, literally, you go on their website, you're able to take a survey, you go through this questionnaire, you fill it out. It's so down to the point where they find you the perfect person for you to be to give you that help that you are looking for. And then on the flip side of all of it, you end up being able to still swap them out if they're not the best person for you in the end. They're giving you so many options. It's 100% online. It's 100% easy. And that's the thing. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than just dealing with our favorite sports team. And it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. And if you're starting to feel like you need therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
All right, Pat, before we go, man, one last topic before we get up out of town for the day. Can the Bulls get a win tonight, Pat? Can the Bulls get a win tonight, man? It's a tall test. The Minnesota Timberwolves, number one defensive team in the league. They also hold their opponents to the lowest rebound average per game as well, which is the way that the Bulls usually are able to get in games, is their rebounding ability. This is a team that last year in the Minnesota Timberwolves made a trade for Rudy Gobert, and we all looked at that trade and was like, you ruined your roster. This is why you don't give up on it after 1 year. They've turned it completely around. They definitely look like a force. I don't know if I necessarily think that they can come out the West in the finals quite yet. I guess maybe I got to see it a little bit more. But they've been number one team in the league. I mean, in the Western Conference for most of that time. They're now tied with the OKC Thunder for that number one spot. Yeah. How you feeling about the Minnesota Timberwolves game tonight, bro?
Well, I say this, man. Just like I've said the entire time, when you let Rudy Gobert take more than 10 shots, he's a pretty good freaking player. 19-16, 19-7, 12-18, 17-6, 22-16. I mean, it helps a little bit. I think, I in all honesty, I think the T-Wolves come into this game having a legit number two. And that's the one thing that they've missed. Y'all know my feelings about Cat. I think he's...
You don't like Cat?
He's 7 foot tall Zach LaVine.
So you don't like Cat is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he's 7 foot tall Zach LaVine.
I'm asking a straightforward question.
I don't like Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay, that's all you have to say.
Not a fan of Karl Anthony Towns. And it's not to say he's not good at the game of basketball, but when you need him most, he's the avatar. He disappears. You know what I mean? So it's just that's my thing with him. And I think with Gobert, you're going to have a legit second option here. That's what makes these guys so deadly. And you don't need him to be the best second option because you have arguably somebody who's trending towards becoming the best player in the NBA once LeBron and these guys get up out of here. And Anthony Edwards, who's absolutely
I'm ready to say
out of it. Oh, you're there already.
I'm ready to say when LeBron is gone and KD's on his Anthony Edwards will be the best player in the NBA.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dog. Like it's
Like, and as soon as he,
I don't know, man. Like Luke is still there. Like, there's some
bro. But the thing is, though, Luke is there, and he's a great offensive player, but he wouldn't guard you on the court.
Yeah.
That's the thing that separates Anthony Edwards from a lot of his contemporaries. Don't get me wrong. There are some extremely talented players in this league, and I'm not trying to crap on any of them. But Anthony Edwards, while not a lockdown defender by any stretch of the imagination,
will play defense.
He will play defense, and he takes pride in some of those marquee matchups in playing defense on some of the other guards and wings in this league. So
I hope he gets to a point where he wants to come to his dad's favorite team, man. But
we're never that lucky, bro. We're never that lucky.
I feel like the one thing about Ant that I do love is that he believes he's the best player in the NBA.
Oh, for sure.
You know, when people always talk, they're like, man, I feel like I'm the best. And then you look at him, you be like, bro, you average like 18 points a game, bro. Shut up. Ain't no way you feel like you're the best. Like,
yeah, Jordan Crawford said he felt he was the best player.
Oh, wow. That shot foul. Remember that. But it's just Ant really believe he the best player in the NBA, and he's willing to take your soul to get that name. So I love what I'm seeing out of Anthony Edwards. I feel like he's really ascending to that level. And I say all that to say, I do not think that the Bulls end up getting a win tomorrow. I hope that Kobe White is able to go out there and absolutely prove me wrong and cook. But I don't see the Chicago Bulls coming away from tonight's game, I should say, with a win, because I think that you're facing that. Anthony Edwards coming to, are we in Minnesota or are we there?
We're at home.
We're at home. Anthony Edwards coming to Chicago right now feels like when Kobe Bryant used to come to Chicago. Like you just went into that game going, man, I hope he don't get 60. Like that's how I feel right now watching this kid play. I love this kid's game, man.
Yeah, Alex Caruso, I would assume we're probably going to draw a lot of those defensive assignments on Anthony Edwards. And hey, prayers up to you guys tonight. That's all I can say on that.
Listen, this is, in the words of Matt Barnes, just make it as difficult as possible. He's gonna get his. Just make it as difficult as possible.
That's all you can do, bro.
Now, what I will say is this. If Alex Caruso shuts down Anthony Edwards, we better be looking for more than an OG Anunoby type deal. Now the price goes up yet again.
If in this game, Alex Caruso, 2 days before the trade deadline, shuts down Anthony Edwards, AK's phones are going to be off the hook.
The price went up.
The price just went up. Now we want an OG Anunoby package plus another first-round pick.
Well, then we talking to Philly. Then we talking to, we talking to Philly, bro.
Tobias Harris looking.
The buzz go, man. Hey, man, we're willing to give you these two players. And you know what? How about a first-round pick? How about two? You know what?
Two won't do it. We'll go throw in three and be like,
we'll throw in three.
I haven't even answered the first one yet.
You know what Philly is? Philly is the chick that can't figure out why you're not texting back fast enough. So like she just sent another message. She sent it, and then by the fourth message, it's like, "Do you hate me?" It's like I was in the shower. 15 minutes. Relax. Like breathe a little bit.
That's funny, but accurate.
Hey man, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hopefully, I will be playing the winning music tomorrow, but
we'll see.
We'll see.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize, man. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. Peace, y'all.
Peace.